Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome everyone and thanks for joining this Q3 earnings call for Infobeams Technologies Limited. I request all the participants to please mute their mic. The results are available on the stock exchange and the company's website. To take us through the results of this quarter and answer your questions, we have today with us Mr. Avinash Sethi, co-founder and CFO. We will be starting the call with a brief overview of the company's performance and then we will follow with a Q&A session. Kindly submit your questions in the chat box after the brief overview by Avinash is over, and then we will address all the questions one by one. I would like to remind you all that everything said on this call that reflects any outlook for the future, which can be construed as a forward-looking statement, must be viewed in conjunction with the uncertainties and risks that they face. These uncertainties and risks are included but not limited to what we have mentioned in the prospectus filed with SEBI and subsequent annual report which you will find on our website. With that said note, I now turn over the call to Mr. Avinash Sethi. Over to you, Avinash.
Thank you, Surbi. Welcome all. Very good afternoon to all of you. So today we are going to talk about the Q3 performance of the company. Next slide, please. We'll be sharing this slide deck right after the meeting. But the results are already available on the NSE website. For those people who are new to the company, who are attending the call for the first or the second time, I'll continue to revisit and give an overview of the company. We've been in business for 20 years. We are CMMI level 3 company, adhering to global standards. Key business segments are product engineering and digital transformation. We have 17 Fortune 500 customers, which are our direct customers. We have state-of-the-art infrastructure in India, in cities like Indore, Pune, Bangalore, and Chennai. We have offices in New York City, in USA, Munich in Germany, and Dubai in Middle East. We have more than 830 professionals worldwide. The past performance of Infobeams has been where we've been generating CAGR of 22% over the last 4 years on the revenue side, CAGR of 21% on EBITDA, and CAGR of 13% on PAT. So in FY16, our revenue was 74 crores. In FY20, our revenue was at 165 crores. We generate about 90% revenue from the US, about 5% each from Middle East and Germany. Some of the very highly experienced core team that we have in front of us, these are the people who are responsible for the growth of the company, and these are the people who are very senior and trusted lieutenants who we trust to take us further. Each one of them would be, spending on an average 10 years with the company. Very important backbone of the organization. Next, please. This is a quick milestone journey. I will encourage you to read that. The biggest milestone being acquiring a company in the US in 2019, September. And, in last year we crossed 100 crores in revenue. So this was some of the significant milestones. Next, please. Several awards and recognitions that we have received in the past, top being Great Place to Work for multiple years. Been also given as the Best Exporting Company Award by the then Chief Minister of MP, Mr. Kamal Nath. Plus several awards on the corporate social responsibility side. We are very conscious organization, and we like to contribute to the city and to the state. We are also named as Dream Companies to Work for in multiple years. Next, please. So the picture that you see on the screen is of the Crystal Park office where I'm sitting right now. We have 2 floors here and put together about 70,000 square feet to house about 800 team members. We have all kinds of facilities here. Plus we have offices in Pune, Bangalore, and Chennai as well. Next, please. So we had two offices in philosophy in the US, one in Los Angeles, the other one in Manhattan, New York. Los Angeles office we have been able to successfully sublet. Therefore, I've removed the pictures from here. I'll talk more about that. But the current office that we have in Manhattan is about 5,000 square foot, which can house about 40 members. By the way, we are attempting to sublease New York office as well, because the philosophy team in the US has decided to work remotely forever, and therefore we are better off getting this office sublet. Okay, so key highlights on the business side is we have added 4 new clients in the last quarter. We have also added about 83 new members. We have a significant open position at this point in time. Close to 150 people are required as of today. So we are hiring left, right, and center. Better revenue and profit for this quarter. And one major change that has happened is we have accounted for the Paycheck Protection Grant that US government has given to us in philosophy. I'll detail it out a little later, but yeah, this is a key highlight for the quarter. Next, please. So the esteemed client list out there, some of them we are working with them for over 14, 15 years, ALM being one of them. IQVIA about, almost 10 years now. CoAdvantage, again, a long-term client, and so on. Next, please. So there are no names out here. A lot of them are under NDA, but these are very, very big names we work with. One of the storage company we've been working since 2008. It's almost 13 years in the relationship. Next, please. These are the clients from philosophy. A very impressive client list. American Express, Amazon, WeWork. They've signed up with more new clients like Warner Media and so on and so on. So pretty impressive list. These are the growth strategies that we continue to follow. I think this is a slide deck. This particular slide in the deck is, I would say, 4-year-old, and nothing has changed in terms of the strategies. We continue to work and execute, and each of these strategies have yielded us good results. So we are continuing on that path. Yes. So this is the key highlight of the financials side. On a YOY, our revenue is up almost 2%. EBITDA is up 75%, and PAT is up 85%. On the other side, Q on Q, the numbers are revenue is up 24.5%, EBITDA 125%, and PAT is almost tripled from where we were last quarter. One of the things to note, as I mentioned earlier, is that we've included 6 crores of grant given by US government and treated as other income in the books. Next. So the numbers out there, it is self-explanatory, but I'll still go through that. Other income has 8.5 crores, 6 crores comes from philosophy grant from the US government. The other 2.5 crores would have about 67 odd lakhs in forex gains because of the hedging positions that we had. And other is on the investments and the interest income from the bonds and liquid funds. We have tried to maintain our expenditure despite the increase in salaries in the effective from 1st of October. And we also had accounted for ESOP expenses of about 1.1 crores. EBITDA margin is up significantly to 36%. Our usual range is about 24% or so. So this is obviously an extraordinary deviation. PAT is at 14 crores, which is again 27% margin. Usually we stay in around 15% range. So I'm sure eventually we'll settle to that range. If you look at the 9-month comparison from on the revenue side, from 116 crores to 145 crores, from EBITDA 27 to 41, PAT 19.5 to 26.6. So pretty good numbers out there. Obviously we should be beating our March 20, the entire fiscal number by end of March 2021. Next, please. So the major change in this balance sheet is on the financial liability side. If you look at non-current liabilities under point A, which is financial liabilities, 39 from 50. So remember last time I talked about the tranche payment to the Philosophy founders, the company that we acquired. They were supposed to meet their numbers on the revenue and EBITDA side, but they couldn't because of the COVID crisis, and therefore they lose on their 1.3 million USD tranche. So this is the reduction in liabilities that we have put up here. Apart from that, I think the other big change is on the shareholder funds, which is up by about 36 crores. That is primarily because of 10 crores of the liability which is parked into reserves now, because the asset value doesn't reduce for Philosophy. And the 26 crores is about the profit that we have accumulated over 9 months. On the fixed asset sides, I think there is a restructuring of lease, non-current assets, then there's an increase of about 14 crores in the financial assets, point B, under non-current, and that is primarily because of increase in profits, which is fundamentally parked in investments, more than 1 year instruments, and therefore that is showing up that change. Apart from that, I think nothing much to talk about on the asset side. Next, please. So some of the notes that I wanted to explain, I think some of them already talked about. Revenue has increased for all the subsidiaries and the parent as compared to the previous quarter. So Q on Q, we have shown good growth. In US currency terms, US dollar terms, if I were to look at, the revenue has grown by 27% quarter on quarter, but dropped 0.8% year on year on the US currency terms. Sales is showing very good traction. December quarter is traditionally dull, both in terms of the new sales pipeline versus the current execution as well, because people go on holidays, because there's less working days. But this last quarter has been phenomenal in terms of the action. We've been able to increase our revenue size, as well as we got good orders, including one big $2.2 million order from backed by Philosophy for one of its clients. It is a financial services company. So a very significant jump that we see now in terms of the action on the sales side. We talked about Paycheck Protection Program. So one thing to note here is that we have not applied, we've not got a chance to apply for forgiveness in Infobeam's INC. We have 140K USD additionally in the Infobeam's subsidiary as well, which would most likely be done in this quarter. We are waiting for our bank to allow us to apply for forgiveness. In the case of Philosophy, we were able to apply for forgiveness, and also the application got accepted. So by the bank. So we took into our books. And cash position, we have about 99 crores in cash and cash equivalents, about 36 crores additionally in accounts receivables. The DSO has increased to 74 days now. Next, please. So I talked about LA office. We were able to sublease it, and this will result in savings of 415K, 415K $1,000 per year, and the remaining term was until September 2025. So we see significant savings moving forward. Tranche 2 payment has been, not required to pay, so we save that money. And ESOP expenses I talked about is an additional expense that we did last quarter. On the M&A side, interesting about turn that has happened on multiple threads that we were talking about. Most of the sellers are now thinking that if they want to wait because they can look at a better value after some quarters or so. Business is going and doing very well for them as well. Therefore, they don't want to, they think they would be short selling right now if they sell. So all of a sudden the entire pipeline is dried up, but we'll continue to make that effort and continue to search on the right targets. Philosophy integration is on its way. We are continuing to cross-sell and upsell between each other's customers. And one of the 4 customers that we acquired last quarter, one of them was a joint effort. One of them was an upsell into Philosophy's customer. So that is working well. We also have one of our sales director working with Philosophy to streamline their sales efforts. Office is still wide empty. We are pushing now. We are making a lot of active efforts to increase the attendance to 25% in this month, and next month we'll try to reach cross 50% plus. And by April we should be, by end of April we should be close to 100% capacity running in our offices. The COVID scene is, the fear factor about COVID risk is not there anymore. So we should be back in office. The talent acquisition team is working, hard. And as I said, we have 145 openings that we need as of today. And we are working hard to fill it. Next. That's pretty much it. Thank you. And, I would request you to please put in your questions in the Q&A box. I can help answer one after the other. And we'll be happy to, answer each one of your questions. And we have time till, I think, 5:45. So we have good amount of time available with us. Q&A. Surabhi, if you can open questions for me.
Yeah, dear participants, you can submit your queries in the chat box, or you can also unmute the mic and speak out your questions. We are here for the question answer round.
Okay, open the questions.
So the first question is from Mr. Nitin Seksaria.
Good question, Nitin. So we are obviously looking for the right target, and the moment we have a target, we have a deal, we'll be short of money. So cash is something that gives us firepower to quickly work on a deal and close a deal. The more money we have, the bigger deal we can crack. So if we go back in time, we went IPO in 2017. We had about 37 crores from the market, and we had about 30 odd crores in cash at that point in time. We waited for the right target and we closed a deal, and we announced a deal in September. We closed it in June. We started due diligence in June, but by the time of doing the deal, we increased our deal size from 5 million to, up to 10 million. So that money is definitely gives us a lot of power and a lot of strength to strike a sizable deal moving forward. So yes, I think that is the biggest value that we can create for ourselves and for the shareholders, where we can grow the business faster than the rest of the world.
Mr. Avinash, another question is that I have not seen the dividend given by the paper industry standard by your company.
So we've been giving 1 rupee dividend every year. So what happened was last year.
It's for IT industry standard.
No, that's what I'm saying. IT industry standards, they're not growing as fast as we want to grow. IT industry standards set by Infosys, Wipro, TCS, we are a minuscule size as compared to that company. So it is unfair to compare us with those players. At the same time, they are now attempting to grow faster, and they are acquiring companies and captives of worth $1 billion. So I'm sure their payout also will reduce in future. But never all said and done, when we went out with the mandate in the market, we were very clear and upfront that we want to grow the business rather than worry about giving out dividends. I'm sure you'll be happy if we grow the business using that money instead of just.
If you are acquiring we are more happy if you acquire the business. But I have not seen till now the philosophy has given any result because of for me when it is still in loss. If you have not get grant, then maybe it is in loss.
Well, that's fine. It is a very short-term view, Nitin. We can't really expect the company to do wonders, particularly in the COVID times. And as I see, if we have access to customers like Amex, Amazon, WeWork, or Warner Media, or the new deal that they've signed up, it's a big opportunity for us to cash on. I mean, it will be our failure if we're not able to capture and exploit that. So It is too early to pass a judgment on the acquisition at this point in time.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next question is, what is your next 20-year vision? Where do you want to be in 2040? Shakti, that's a good question. I think we've been playing around with 5-year vision, 10-year vision in the past, and what we realize is it is foolhardy to think of that long, because the dynamics of the industry changes very, very quickly. So what we are saying to ourselves and what we are targeting for ourselves is, if we can double ourselves every 2 years, we'll end up in a good position in whatever number of years we continue to do that. So that's the attempt that we're doing. And, with a combination of organic and inorganic growth, this is, our objective, that we should aim to double ourselves every 2 years. Currently, we are doubling ourselves every 3 years. But we want to fast forward that and commit to a velocity of 2 years. So let's see how far we can, how quickly and how far we can do that time and again. Saurabh Bardia, digital transformation is doing very good business these days for all IT companies. How is Infobeam capitalizing on this? Being a small company, revenue growth currently looks small. Do you see more growth coming in going forward? I think yes. As I said, we've just come out of COVID times and we have bounced back right after, right from September quarter. So yes, I see a lot of organic growth opportunities out there. I also see inorganic growth opportunities as well. So yeah, I'm very positive. Also, all the business that we're doing is typically into two segments. One is product engineering, another one is digital transformation. So we are big on digital transformation. As much as 50% revenue comes from digital transformation services that we offer. Plus, we are investing more in that space. So yes, these are the two broad, high growth segments that we see, and we are capitalizing opportunities in that segment. So the next question is from Vinayak. There is no question, Vinayak. You probably have to
So my questions actually got pushed down.
Okay,
because of other
okay. No issues.
participants.
We'll come there. We'll come
No
there.
issues, no issues.
What is your plan to extend business with upcoming technologies like AI, blockchain, tech? Okay. So Shankar, we're not focusing on AI or blockchain at this point in time. As I said, there are zillions of technologies out there, and there are only few of them which makes headlines in the media. Very honestly, whoever is working in AI or blockchain in India, they are just following what has been created in the US. So, and honestly, there are very limited talent pool available in that space. What we are doing is more so trying to help enterprise clients be more efficient in their space. There are a lot of automation, things that are happening, but I'll still say we are using AI engines in some cases, but this is not prominent. I would not want to call it as a practice, as a mainstream thing that we are doing. We are experimenting on those areas, but as of now, we are not really very focused on any of these technologies to say that we'll be an experts in these technologies in a couple of years. We're just touching upon these tools right now. So we're not focused honestly in that space. So by when we can expect to cross revenue run rate of pre-COVID levels of 200 crores annualized, given that 4 million USD of order gives you great visibility, can you give some color on this 2.2 million USD, which is a geography they are from, and where is their loan books is like? Okay, so I'm not really too much aware of their loan book size and everything, but this is a company called as I can actually name it, called as Co-op Financials. It is a relatively new client for Philosophy. It's a single $2.2 million contract. They want to use advanced technologies and simplify their loan processing mechanisms with Philosophy. So that's the information that I can share right now. On the growth run rate, I think we are back on track already. So with this growth that we see in December quarter, I think we are back on track. That's what I would say. So yeah, I'm pretty positive and pretty hopeful of the new businesses coming in from both existing customers and the new customers. So and let me tell you that we have not been able to travel at all and meet any of the customers face to face. This is all happening with the past efforts that we have made, and the clients have given us orders online. So things look very positive from here. When you can expect revenue from Nike and Warner Brothers coming in, given that you converted? So they are already customers. They continue to be customers. So both of them. It's just that they are still giving. They're giving revenue continuously. The question is whether how soon can we make them $1 million account? Is something that we are working on. And since we've not been able to build more stronger relationship because of the unavailability of people to talk to or meet, it is getting delayed. But yeah, I think we are on it. We want to get deeper into these relationships. Your expectation of the full year, any guidance? We have not given any guidance in the past, and I will want to refrain from it. But looking at what we are doing, we should be doing good. More or less the same number or slightly better. So hardly any guidance I can give. But yeah, things look good. That's what I can say. Do you see Infobeams hitting 300 crore revenue in next 2 years? Oh yes, absolutely. That is the target we have. That is what we want to do. So yes, the 300 crore is definitely in the sight. I would rather say in next Yeah, 2 years, 164 was the last number, 165 was the last number. So 330 should be the next number in next 2 years. Yeah, that's the target. In the post-lockdown era, which segment are you witnessing the most traction, demand emerge from? What the outlook from each of your individual segments like ServiceNow, cloud migration? So ServiceNow is looking very good. We have got new projects in ServiceNow. We are short of people there. Cloud migration we don't do, so nothing there. Automation, yes. UX, yes. So yes, all these segments, product engineering, automation, digital transformation, or ServiceNow, even Salesforce, they are all looking very good, and a lot of traction, a lot of demand. As I said, 150 people I'm leading today. We've been hiring very rapidly, but still the demand is coming up, left, right, and center. So things look good, but all these segments are working on well. So geographical diversification, Aditya, we are already in 3 places. We don't need to expand more. As in the first slide you must have seen, we are just 5%, in Europe and Germany and Middle East. So all we have to do is increase our efforts to, penetrate more into these geographies. So, until we are 20-25% plus, there is no in each of the geographies. There is no reason to go to more geographies for us. Do you have plans to listing in NYSE? Oh wow, I would love to, but at this point in time we are nobody. The size is too little to go to NYSE. But yeah, that's an aspiration, so to speak. Not NYSE, but NASDAQ. Next, please.
That's it.
All done. Any more questions? Any other doubts and clarification that you would need?
One question is there. Does it make sense?
That's a good question, Saurabh. But we keep debating ourselves as to both Germany and Dubai. Should we retain that? Should we really invest more in it? But what we've been finding